Hey, my name is Nathan. I'm the founder of Design Detail, and for the past 10 years, I've been helping car detailers, mobile detailers, PPF shops get hundreds of thousands of dollars of leads through a great looking website. In today's video, what I want to do is go through every section that I think that a car detailing website should need. I'm going to be using my software, Design Detail. It's a platform that's built specifically for car detailers to get a really great website super easily. But these sections apply to basically any website provider that you use. So let's hop in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Add Section. And these are where all your sections are that we think that you could really do with on your website. First thing that I'm going to add in is a hero section. So a hero section is pretty much the most important part of your website. It's the part that needs to explain who you are, what you do, where you are, some social proof, and an easy call to action. So that's what we've set up here. So if I click into the section, we can adjust some subheadings, headings, paragraphs. So we can add in a reviews badge. So if we add something in like that, and we can also kind of place it where we want. We've got some design options based on what kind of your layout wants to be. You know, I quite like to go for the split look. So you want to show off some like nice imagery in here. You know, you could have just a single image that's really great. A little tip there is that you can sometimes have maybe like the car looking towards the call to action button, and then that subconsciously guides the user's eye towards that button. You could have like a slider kind of look if you wanted to have like a few things scrolling through it like this. And then you can kind of adjust that layout. Or you could have a really nice looking video. You could add a few things in there, but Alex Hormozy recommends that instead of kind of putting your contact form directly in here, so with something like this, they get better results if you actually have a get a quote right in there. But what you could put into the right side instead is maybe like a video, maybe like a YouTube or something like that. And then you can display it in there. The most important thing is to always have a hero pretty much on every single page at the very top. Okay, on to the next section. So the next up is a services kind of display. So this is where we're showing off all the services of the business, getting some of those images in there. We can also add in background videos to each of these as well. I quite like the whole like carousel thing here because it looks great on mobile. They can just swipe through it. But there are other design options, like if you wanted to go for more of like a grid layout, or maybe like an alternating look like this, and maybe put some text in each of these. The main idea with this section is that you just want to guide people to where they're wanting to go, basically. And as well just kind of convey what you're capable of. Okay, next up. So we've got a pricing section. So another pretty important one here. What we do in Design Detail is we basically have a pricing section, and then you can select a pricing widget. So the pricing widget is basically just a pricing table with your packages in it. I see a lot of detailers kind of create a page for each package, which is fair enough. It's good for like sharing, but normally you want to kind of be able to compare packages most of the time. So for example, you know, being able to compare the prices, what's included in there. And also I like to include like a little brief description as if you were explaining what this package does. You'll also notice that we have like a select your vehicle size. So what you can do is select specific pricing for each vehicle size. And as well, you can also select some add-ons too. You've got your main packages, and then you've got maybe something like an add-ons area for stuff like pet odor removal or things like that. Have this on service pages. You could even have it on the home page, kind of showing off some of your most popular packages. Okay, on to the next one. So reviews carousel. This is a big one. So we already had, you know, reviews in the hero because that builds trust and authority. That social proof is so important these days. These sync up with your Google business reviews or Google Maps reviews. This version is basically more of like a carousel version. Let's go with something like just this one. And this can be quite straightforward. You know, it doesn't have to be anything flashy. It just has to show the reviews basically. Bonus points if you can get something that actually shows the images from those profiles as well. I would definitely have that kind of somewhat high up the page, just because it really does make you seem a lot more authentic. Again, to talk about Alex Hormozy, he talks about how if you were to say that you sell pasta and you had 5,000 5-star reviews saying, we make pasta, look at all our reviews. Or the alternative is, we have one review and we make the most amazing pasta in the world that you will never believe tastes so good. You're still most likely going to go with the higher review count. So that's why reviews are important. Okay, next, static gallery. So this is basically just a simple way to show off some of your images and videos. Pretty straightforward. Basically, the idea behind that is the more you can show the work, the better. Trying to show, don't tell is always the best option, because most people aren't going to be reading a lot of text. They're going to be focusing on what images are on your website. Next up, info section. So typically I would place this below the hero section on a service page or something like that. But this is basically just to provide a bit of information about your business, and it also helps with search engine optimization. So you can dive in a little bit deeper. Maybe you should try to sell the vacation, not the plane ticket. And what I mean by that is, you don't buy a plane ticket because how many seats it has or how fast it goes. You buy the plane ticket because you want to get to the destination. And this section is perfect for kind of conveying that a little bit. Maybe you're showing like a nice video in here, putting a before and after slider in there. So you're really selling what it is that you actually do. Just like that. You could also add in some benefits, just again, because not a lot of people read entire paragraphs of text. So the more headings and kind of shorter paragraphs that you can have, the better, just so that you can get what you need to across. With this section, you can go quite in depth. If you really did want to go kind of like the SEO side, you could always put in like 2 lines of text, and then you could always set the columns so that that side is sticky, so that it scrolls through. And then you could also turn that into more of like a card as well. But yeah, that's pretty much an introduction section. So maybe like 3 or 4 of those on the page would be great. On to the next one, flying through these. So benefit section. What we use this for is just to get some more social proof across, or maybe not social proof, but kind of authority building, quick, skimmable elements that build up the trust in your business. You could also change this to maybe like a step-by-step process, just for those people who could do with a little bit more educating about the service. So that's great for ceramic coating or paint protection film. Pretty straightforward. Again, maybe just trying to show some like icons in there just so it's nice and skimmable. But yeah, up next we have an about section. So people tend to buy who you are, not always what you do. Like the reason why they might go with someone else as opposed to you is based on what your values are, how you kind of show in the business market. And the about section is a really great way to get that kind of why explanation about why someone would go with your business as opposed to someone else. Here you kind of want to be talking about values or like an area that you work in. So in our about section, you can also put in like a map embed into here instead of an image. And again, just some benefits, just to kind of create some skimmable elements. Next up, we have the founder section. So very similar concept to the about section, but here I recommend having like a little founder's note, just a little kind of personal note to the person visiting the website. Maybe talking about your story, how you got into detailing, what your approach to work is, things like that. Just kind of personalize with people a little bit more. In this section, you wouldn't want a picture of a car, you'd want a picture of yourself, maybe working on a car or something like that. Okay, next up, we have the portfolio section. So a portfolio is different to a static gallery in the way that I recommend using this to go much deeper into a project that you worked on. Because if someone comes across to your website and they see the exact same card that they have and all the amazing stuff that you did to it, they're so much more likely to buy from you because they can see that you've done the work before. When I, sold car detailing websites as more of like a custom project by project thing, when people could come to my website and see that I'd made a ton of car detailing websites before, they're much more likely to trust me than the guy who has never touched one before. And as well, the SEO benefits on this, the fact that you can do like a much bigger write-up, AI generated with design detail, but you just put in the basic details of what services, what packages, now when someone searches like Ford Raptor, it's not Ford Raptor, but a Ford Raptor ceramic coating, then, and that's not an Porsche. That's an Aston Martin. I think I just set these up temporarily. But yeah, when someone searches Ford Raptor ceramic coating near me, that portfolio post page will appear. So that's why we include this in here. And they can also filter by car make. Okay, so next up, we've got the scroll animation section. So this is a little bit more of a niche section, and it's probably not applicable to everyone, but it's such a great way to kind of keep users engaged on the website, and as well get some kind of complicated ideas across, or education, or concepts, or even just something cool that you want to show off. So Apple do this on their website. So what they do is they animate this and they turn it into a scroll animation. So as you scroll through this, so I'm scrolling down, scrolling up, and it's just a really kind of engaging way to keep people on the website and kind of scrolling through. So the longer people scroll through, the more Google thinks that, people are engaging with your site. So how this works is you basically upload a video, and then it turns that video into a sequence of images that you can then scroll through. So I'll show you an example. So this is one on here. These are just AI generated videos prompted, because in the past, to create something like this, you would have to use like complicated CGI stuff. In this case, what we can just do, so as I'm scrolling through, you can include that in there. And then what we can do is put in like multiple text blocks. So the trick is, if you put in some kind of blank ones, just like this, and then have your actual text at the end. And then I'll also just reduce that background opacity a bit. So I'm going to scroll through here. So normal section, normal website. And then as I start to scroll, we've got like a PPF thing. Not ideal that it falls off the car, but that's just AI video. And then you've got a few different options in terms of how you want to kind of lay that out. If you wanted to do more of like a split look, or if you wanted to have it kind of more on top or something. Use it quite sparingly, but it's super effective. Now we're on to supplies section. So here it's basically just about showing you some of the suppliers that you work with. It's great for if you have like an exclusive kind of deal with that supplier to work with them in that area. So, and as well, if your customers tend to be the type of people who know these brands or are looking for a specific brand, then this is great kind of extra validation for them. Pretty straightforward stuff. But yeah, on to the next, we have a promo banner. So this would be used for a little bit more of like a sales promotion type of thing. So I'll show you what this would look like. So this is using our promo banner widget, and it would look like something like that. Black Friday sale countdown, pretty good to have. And then when they click that, a contact form would pop up, or it would take you to like your Able or something. This countdown tends to like just reset after like midnight, but you can also set it to like an actual time or something like that. Counters, again, it's just about building kind of trust with some people. So it's a quick, digestible way to get some stats across, like experience or something like that. With this, you can kind of configure this to do anything. So if you wanted to have like 1 million plus, something like that, it doesn't matter. Yeah, just about building that trust and authority again. On to the next. So this is a marquee section. This is more just kind of like little bits of flair, but if this is great for showing off specific car brands that you work with. So I tend to have this under the hero section, just kind of like that. It's like a nice little break. But you could use this for kind of your services in there, or you could even put something custom in there as well. And then you can select which ones you actually want to use. Cool. On to the next one, service areas. So this is a big thing with SEO. It's basically custom pages. I tend to base them on the home page, but the main idea for this is we're going to mention the area that you want to service in that first heading. So it might be like ceramic coating in a very specific area of the city or something like that. Pretty straightforward stuff. This section basically just shows off those areas so that Google can see that. But we've had a lot of success with clients doing this and a big uptick. On to the next, blog posts. I wouldn't overlook these. They're still quite powerful, but not in the way that people are actually going to read them. You know, like when was the last time you read a blog post? They're great for SEO though, and as well, great for AEO, which is Ask Engine Optimization, which basically just means AI understanding your website. So if you can kind of create some articles very locally, then when someone is asking their AI what car detailing business to go with that has good Google reviews for BMWs, then it will also check in with all the information that you can get on the website. So that's perfect. With design detail, you can just AI generate these. It doesn't really matter. FAQ section. This is also, again, really important for SEO and AEO. Design detail will help you kind of create a lot of these. You can use this specifically for like just a homepage, some more general ideas, or you could do some more for service pages instead. Very straightforward stuff. I think we're getting close to the end now, but then we've got the call to action section. So what you can do here is a few different things, you know, depending on the way that you want people to get in touch with you on your website. You can either have just a contact form embed, just like this. You know, maybe it takes them through a few steps. You could have like a simple call button, or you could have a booking software choice embedded in there using something called an iframe. But yeah, call to action should be at like the bottom of pretty much every page. You want to include what happens next so people know what to expect, and then some basic kind of contact information. But this section here in design detail, you can also use this for something called a mid CTA. So it's a call to action at the middle of the page, but you wouldn't want to have just the full contact section in here. What you'd want to do is, so we'll copy that and then we'll move that to the middle of the page. What I would do instead is change the call to action to a button and then the layout to centered. And then now you've just got like a nice little interruption, like a page break. And what you could do in there is add in like a little background image. So we'll just grab a stock image for now. Just subtle, you know, just as you're scrolling through, just in case people don't reach the end of the page. But yeah, super powerful. And then when they click that, it can open up a modal, you know, so if I show you that there. So call to action button, modal, select the contact form. And now when we click that, instead of having that big contact form in there, what it'll do is it will just open up the contact form as a pop-up. And then I think that's all the sections. Let me check. Footer. You know what a footer is. So that is all the sections that I think work really great on a website. It gets you a really high-end looking website that really covers all of the bases in terms of what a website needs to do. So yeah, if you want to try design detail, it's free to get started and you only have to pay once you connect a custom domain. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. Subscribe and like if you found this useful. And if you have any other suggestions, I'd love to hear them down below in terms of sections that you think are super important for a car detailing website, and we'll get them included in here. Thanks.